Well, let's turn our attention to other stories now. Olympic Games are held every 4 years. It is an international multi-sport event. At this time, the city of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil will play host to participating athletes for the duration of the Games from August the 5th to August 21st.
Now, the first batch of Team Nigeria left the country on Monday from Abuja. All right, we're now joined by the former Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Olympics Committee, Tony Nezianya. Good morning to you, and thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yes.
To be here.
Maybe we should just, hit the ground running, cut to the chase. Is Nigeria really ready for Rio Olympics?
Just like every other nation, we are.
Are we?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a surprising response.
You're the first person I'm hearing from, yes, Nigeria is ready, because there's skepticism in the minds of everybody we talk to. Are you sure Nigeria is ready? Are you sure Nigeria is ready? From everything we hear and so on. Now, how ready is Nigeria?
You said so that the first batch has left. That is an indication that Nigeria is there, and Nigeria has actually raised its flag, the flag raising ceremony. That's enough indication. We were duly invited, and we have honored the invitation to present our athletes. The first batch is there. The second batch will also leave soon.
Okay.
Are you judging our preparedness by the fact that, yes, the Nigerian contingent is on ground right now? Or are we talking about the preparations that have gone on before this Olympics that start, is it this Friday, if I'm correct?
Yes, it starts this Friday.
Some are already saying that, look, this is even going to be worse than the London 2012 outing.
It's always the prediction ahead of any games. And even the particular games, to which we did so well, and which is now a reference point, and that's the 1996 games where we won 2 gold medals. The preparations was the same thing as this, if not better. In fact, there was the Ministry of Sports, or the National Sports Commission, as it were at that time, we are at loggerheads within the Nigeria Olympic Committee. To the extent that the then Minister of Sports, the Jim Wobudo, and the late Rahim, the then President of the Nigeria Olympic Committee, was not in talking terms. Yet Nigeria went ahead and did well. Now, the point I'm making is that there has never been a difference in terms of the preparation. It has always been the same manner, and we come back. Instead, we come back sometimes to do well, and sometimes we fail to do well.
Okay,
yes.
we'll have a better understanding of all of this. But before we go into all of that, let's give our viewers some perspective to understanding some of these things. Now, more than 10,500 athletes from 206 national Olympic committees will feature in 28 sports and a total of 42 Olympic sport disciplines and 306 events.
Now, these sporting events will take place at 33 venues in the host city and at 5 other venues. The competition will yield 136 medals for women, 161 for men, and 9 mixed medals. Nigeria is hoping to win about 10 to 15 medals at the 2016 Olympics.
Nigeria made its debut at the Olympics in 1952, and it took the country 44 years to win her first Olympic gold medals in football and athletics in 1996. And since then, Nigeria has now been able to repeat that feat. Now, Nigerian athletes have participated in every edition of the Summer Olympic Games except for the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal, because of the African boycott. Sports Minister Solomon Dalong revealed that 86 athletes will represent the country at the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio.
The country has no fewer than 49 qualified male athletes and 29 female for 10 sport disciplines. Last month, President Muhammadu Buhari unveiled the qualified athletes of Team Nigeria to the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. Now, let's look at Nigeria's preparation for the 2012 London Olympics. In 2012, Nigeria went with a contingent of 51 sportsmen and women. They competed in 8 sports: athletics, weightlifting, taekwondo, boxing, wrestling, table tennis, canoeing, and basketball.
Nigerian athletes had a short but intensive preparation with a 2 billion naira budget, which many say did not yield any result. But athletes returned home with no medal for the country, but even that poor performance was not the first of its kind.
In 1988 Seoul Olympics, Nigeria also returned home empty-handed. While Nigeria budgeted just 2 billion naira for the 2012 Olympics, Great Britain invested 264 million pounds and finished third on the medal table with 65 medals. You want to do the math?
We'll have to do the math somehow to have understanding of this, but that's a lot of money. Well, let's compare Nigeria to Great Britain, which had a similar failing streak at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, and how they reversed their fortune. Now, Team Great Britain returned with only 1 gold medal and finished 36th on the medal table. But they learned their lesson and took decisive steps to avoid a repeat of such failure. What did they do? Great Britain hired some of the best coaches in the world and integrated them into a streamlined support system.
They made it possible for athletes to devote themselves completely to their training by paying their living costs and providing other support services. They appointed a world-class Olympics performance director and other performance directors for some identified sports regarded as areas of competitive advantage. Of course, Tony Nezianya is here and he's looking at this, for us. Very interesting. I mean, like they say, the failure to plan is a plan to fail. As early as January, Solomon Dalong, the sports minister, raised the alarm. He said Nigeria is not, where we are now, we're not ready for the Olympics. And it's interesting to hear you say that we're actually ready. Look at the case of Britain, how they invested so much because they're expecting to get back, a lot. And 2012, Nigeria had 51, contingents, right? And only to hear that some 250 officials actually went, on that one. And we're expecting the same thing. Talk to us about these two issues.
Now, it'd be interesting, to find that the minister said, expressed that kind of views, because what is the underlying philosophy of the Olympic and Olympism? It's participation. So the fact that Nigeria is going to fly his flag in that place is also enough motivation. Now, ask me, why do we want to win medals? If you want to win medals, of course, fair enough, because it brings joy to the effort that the athletes are putting into the preparation and all that. Now, what is what is the preparation like? If you actually want to go beyond just participation, then of course you should be talking about infrastructure. How do you train? How do you get the athletes prepared? Yes, if you ask me, yes, I said we are going to participate at the games. We are ready, but in terms of winning medals, that's a very different ball game altogether. So if we have invested, then you can think about winning gold. But if we have not invested, of course, that's there's also joy in participating in the games. And what is the atmosphere like?
And even bragging rights when you win a lot of medals. But we'll come back to understanding in true terms, from the Nigerian perspective, what it really takes, what goes into preparation for Olympics. We'll come back shortly on that. Now, after an extensive investment in sports, at the next Olympics in Sydney 2000, Team Great Britain returned with 11 gold medals, 10 silver and 7 bronze, finishing 10th on the medals table, a far cry from their last performance.
Former President Jonathan called a retreat on sports in 2012. The idea was to integrate some of these key lessons and begin to develop a new systematic framework that could lead us to a better outing in 2016. Now, the conclusion arrived at after the retreat was that Nigeria identified 5 key sports that gave us or gives us competitive advantage and made them our Olympic sports. And so we agreed on boxing, weightlifting, taekwondo, wrestling and athletics.
Well, but after plans were made, nothing much went into to change our attitude towards preparation for sporting activities. So that brings us to the question. In the Nigerian context, what really goes into preparation for Olympics?
First, there has not been one new infrastructure built after the round table. What? Tell me, what's the new stadium? What is the new indoor hall? The gyms? Which one has been added since that time, between then and now? And then we're now in a deeper problem. We have wars all going on all over the country. It is war. Take it or leave it. You know, people call it militancy and all that. And again, we're also violating an international convention. We adopted the truce. And what is the truce? It was of course, you know, the Olympic Games, they're borrowing from the Greek. And in the 8th century, they adopted a charia. I can't remember the actual spelling, you know, or the actual pronunciation of it. And that was to drop to every issue about war. 3 months into the games, there's a cessation of hostilities in all forms. So, in other words, the Niger Delta militancy, the whatever is going on in the Northeast is also a clear violation of the international rules. So, what one have we observed? We failed to provide any new infrastructure since 1990, since our return from the Olympic Games. So, we didn't host any qualifying series. So how do you qualify people? If, for instance, boxing was chosen, it's only one boxer that is going to represent the country. You know, we didn't get prepared, we didn't host. So how do you want to? And then we didn't make a money available for people to go and you know.
It's interesting.
It's only in wrestling that you have as much as 4 or 5 people.
The point you raised about you know, the convention or that agreement that says 3 months before the Olympics, all hostilities should cease.
Yes.
If that were the case, if we were really going to take that seriously, then I wonder how many countries would be at the Olympics. Because there's so many countries that are actually having this,
issues,
you know, challenge.
Yes, people
right
still
now.
challenge. But then, if you observe it, then of course we could have had enough money to have injected.
Yeah,
into,
but is it
the militancy that is going on around the country would have stopped?
Yeah, but
clearly they are lovers of sports.
Isn't that a situation where both countries or 2 or 3 countries are involved in a war? Shouldn't that be where that applies? Because when you're talking about militants and all of these, they don't know these charters. They don't know what all of these things are.
Unfortunately, you know, you think that these people, the people are well schooled. They know. They are aware. It's an international convention. And if you feign ignorance, you know, it's unfortunate. But people are aware. So we should have ceased. We should have been able to you know, the country would have had enough money to have been able to support its athletes to go to the game.
I'm just wondering if that really is within the control. Is that really within the control of the
criminals? There's complete cessation of hostilities, disputes. You know, as at even last Friday, the Ban Ki-moon called attention to it. This was adopted. It was adopted in the United Nations, 1993, and then renewed in 1998. And up till 1996, the Greeks who wanted to host, you know, made it a point. And
was that really within the control of the Nigerian government? But let's even look at what is really within the control of the Nigerian government. You talked about facilities that no added, you know, structures have been built. Is it really just about adding more facilities?
Adding facilities.
I'll allow you. I'm going to allow you to answer that question.
Yes.
I'm going to allow you to answer that question, but it's time for the news update now. So we're coming back to dwell more on that because we need to get information from what you're giving us right there. All right, it's time for the news update, and Kemi Faladeyemo is standing by again to give us updates on that. Kemi, good morning again.
Thank you very much, Mike. Suspected Fulani herdsmen have raced down Kadamon, a community in Adamawa State, displacing no fewer than 5,000 people and destroying properties. The attack is coming in spite of a reconciliatory meeting brokered by security chiefs towards lasting peace between the herdsmen and local farmers. The meeting, which was meant to resolve the unending communal clashes between herdsmen and the farmers, was cut short when the militia attacked Kadamon. The former chairman of the Appropriations Committee of the House of Representatives, Abdul Mumin Jibrin, is taking his petition against the Speaker and 3 others further. Of course, you know the controversy is over the budget pardon scandal, and now the EFCC, the ICPC, the DSS and the police are set to be investigated. Jibrin revealed this in a number of tweets. In the first tweet, he wrote, and I quote, "My lawyers have confirmed my appointments for today with security and anti-corruption agencies to personally provide insight on my petition." Now, he tweeted this early Monday morning. And then another one which reads, "We will be at the ICPC 10 a.m., DSS 12 noon, EFCC 2 p.m. and the police headquarters at 4 p.m. The law will surely catch up with the corrupt Speaker Dogara and others." End of quote. That too was tweeted yesterday. Well, members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, also known as the Shiites, are pursuing the demand for the release of their leader, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, who is still in detention. The members of the sect said El-Zakzaky is dying in the purported safe custody of the Department of State Security Services, but the Department of the State Security Service has defended El-Zakzaky's detention on the ground that it's legal. And let's talk health now. The National Association of Resident Doctors has threatened to go on another indefinite strike if the federal government fails to meet its demands. President of the body, Mohammed Askira, said the agreement which they had with the federal government is yet to be achieved. He said resident doctors in states where they are being owed salaries must withdraw their services in accordance with the law. And the Trade Union Congress in Oyo State has issued a 5-day ultimatum to the state governments to offset the backlog of unpaid pensions and salary arrears that have now hit the 8-month mark. And this comes barely a week after its sister body, the Nigeria Labour Congress, suspended a 7-week-old strike. The TUC chairman, Emelieze Andrew, issued this warning in Abuja after the expiration of a grace period offered government. Well, that's news update. Back to Mike and Ngozi.
Thank you very much, Kemi. You're welcome back. We're talking sports and specifically Nigeria's preparation for the Rio Olympics that starts on Friday. How prepared is Nigeria? Well, our guest in the studio seems to believe that Nigeria is prepared. He actually believes that participation in itself is something to, cheer about. I might want to agree with you on that. But before we come back to our guest in the studio, let's look at the issue of funding. The federal government appropriated the sum of 500 million naira for the games in the 2016 budget. But that sum was insufficient, according to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, for the Nigerian contingent. Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Solomon Dalong, requested an additional 2 billion naira to augment funds for the 2016 Olympics.
But however, in 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari approved the sum of a 2.9 billion naira for the preparation and participation of Team Nigeria at the last All-Africa Games in Congo-Brazzaville and the Olympic Games. But there are controversies on how the money was spent. So the question to ask here is, what has the money provided for in the 2015 and that's provided in the 2016 budget been used for, when athletes sometime took to social media sites to seek donations to sponsor their trips for the competition? It's a big question.
Yes, indeed. And some would actually say it's really scandalous. Some, sports officials actually queried some Nigerian athletes for going on social media, on Twitter, to raise funds. And some of them actually succeeded in raising funds, and they're looking forward to, representing Nigeria at the Olympics. I mean, these are very serious issues, Tony.
Yes. It's really very sad that situations like this has arisen. Now, I tell you something. When they appropriated 2.9 billion for the
All Africa
Games and the preparation for the Olympic Games, everybody hailed it. It was a very big, beautiful, it was novel. We have never had it before, never done it in the past. Now, but what really happened? After that, then there was the National Sports Commission who pulled out, and dissolved. What reason, we do not know. They said they want to conserve funds and then you have a ministry and all that. Between that confusion, because we plan to, most times, that is the situation. With all due respect to all the top officials, why do away with the National Sports Commissioners at that time? So the accounting of the money became a problem because the head of the National Sports Commission was taken away. So he says on his own, I accounted. Somebody says, oh, he didn't account. Where do you get the National Sports Commission to respond to some of these
But didn't
issues?
Someone sign for the money? Wasn't the money handed over to someone?
It's a serious issue. When you have an institution, the National Sports Commission and the Ministry of Sports were one and the same. Then you suddenly dissolved and then did away with the officials and the key officials who were supposed to provide the accounting. And they have said, by their testimonies, we have accounted for the money and all that. Where do you get them? Where do you hold them? So it's all these are part of the confusion that they attended to in that roundtable. Those roundtable, where are you making where are you making the recommendations to? It wasn't not to the National Sports Commission. And then you did away with the National Sports Commission, which is the technical arm of the Ministry of Sports. And
it's interesting to note that not much has happened in the area of the figure, provided for the Olympics. It's hovered somewhere around 2 billion naira.
I'm not even too sure. I'm not even too sure that their physical cash has been released.
And then you have Siasia complaining that in LA and Atlanta that they've actually, look at this. Siasia says that the under-23 team played friendlies wearing different jersey brands.
Yes, because they travel on credit. It doesn't ever happen in any country. So see, look, let's be content with the fact that we are going to participate in the games. And if we win medals, let's be very honest about it. If we win medals, that's another impetus. And we should be.
Okay, so looking at this team now, do you envisage a Chioma Ajungwa emerging? Are we likely to see a Chioma Ajungwa?
That kind of situation scenario. It is possible.
Who actually has
it is very, very possible because given the scenario that happened in 1996, and I can tell you that is the scenario that we have now. It's the same thing. There has not been any difference, unless the people who do not know the history and how it happened. It will very much. There was complete in the survey. In fact, actually, when Chioma Ajungwa won the gold, everybody didn't believe it. Nobody had the flag. Because nobody had the flag, the Nigerian flag for her to take the victory run. It was that bad.
We were not expecting it.
Nobody was expecting it, and nobody was expecting the gold medal from football. And it's coming. So
it means there could be surprises at Rio.
Of course, this is what we And the boys are on their own. They went there on credit. They'll be playing with various uniforms and all that kind of thing. It doesn't happen to any other team. It happens to us because of
Well, let's just hope the dogged Nigerian spirit will kick in, and the contingent will bring.
So maybe the only appeal, to all the agitators in whatever form, whether the militancy in whatever form, they should respect the Olympic truce and work for Nigeria. Even if it's prayers that they can offer, even if it's just peace, so that we can have a little added money, so that the money that we have now can be funneled to the athletes and support them in winning the medal.
All right, Tony Nezianya, former Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Olympics Committee, thank you for talking to us on TNC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right.